Ha! Yo, what's up?
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Perfect, bro. So this is actually the first time that I've done a live with someone that I don't know. So welcome.
Thank you. I hope you treat me with kindness.
Oh, definitely. All right. So you said something that was interesting when you said that you identified as what? As being white or black.
I'm black,
Okay. But then people identified you as what?
colored.
Okay. That was in high school or even now?
Even now, throughout my life, really.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
That brings up a very interesting topic. So how does it make you feel? Well, how did it make you feel, and how does it make you feel now?
So initially, especially in my younger years in primary school, I used to, I think, take it as a compliment. Oh, you look colored, aren't you colored? And it was always sort of like a compliment. I think though when I, got to high school and I started learning more about myself and I started being proud of my culture, being black, being a black, young lady, it then wasn't much of a compliment. And whenever people told me I was colored, I think they expected that thank you, and I never gave it to them. I'd be like, oh yeah, really? I get that a lot, you know? And it was honestly just that right now, I don't know how to feel about it. It's just like, oh, okay, yeah, yeah, I get that a lot, but I'm black.
Yeah, yeah, I understand what you mean. Why do you think that it felt like a compliment to you back when you were younger?
I think it felt like a compliment because we always viewed colored people as beautiful. They are lighter in complexion, they have the facial features of white people, slimmer noses, beautiful eyes, long curly hair. And so it's like somebody saying you look like Beyonce. It's like, what? Get out of here, girl. Mixed race people are generally very attractive people. And so when a person says, "Oh, you look colored," it's like, that means you think I'm pretty. At least that's how I saw it then. Yeah, and I mean it's still kind of true, but I'd rather be seen as a beautiful black young lady as opposed to a colored looking beautiful girl.
Why is that?
Because I'm black. Because that's who I am. Because I'm proud of that. So, yeah.
Okay. Man, every time you say something, it's like I don't know, it just yeah raises a lot of other questions. But yeah, just bear with me. Um, okay, so then if when you said that when you identified when we think that colored people are beautiful, they kind of resemble white people. Then are you
Mhm.
saying that white people are then beautiful?
No, no, no. But I mean, we we've had, I think, there's always been this thing about colorism and this and that. So it's not that I or people generally feel as though white people are more attractive. I think we have always, because of history and whatever, we've always admired white people. We've always seen them as superior. We've always kind of sort of wanted to be like them. I swear to God. And when I got to high school and I saw more white people, I was always so nervous around them, and I never understood how black kids could be friends with white people because I'm from the rural areas. I'm surrounded by just um black people, and when we see our teachers white people, it's always like so exciting. So anyway, with that said, I always feel like black people, especially the darker people, especially black people with you know dominant black features like big noses and big lips and all of that, have not really been considered as um, attractive. And
Yeah.
we've always seen these white features that are seen in white people as, slimmer noses. That's why we contour our noses to be slimmer all the time when we do our makeup. um, and lighter eyes and lighter complexion, that's always been viewed as more attractive. Even during slavery, right? The lighter slaves were seen as house slaves, and they were put at, a pedestal as compared to the darker ones. So I feel like it's something that's always been ingrained in us, The more white features you have, the more, I don't know how to put it, then you are considered more attractive, The skinnier you are, more attractive. Why? Because these are features that resemble a white person. You know what I mean? It's sad, but I kind of true.
Do you think then it's something that was like given to us or given to black people by like a white person, or do you think that like our actual, when I say our, I mean black people's um, forefathers and our moms and our grands and our elders kind of then portrayed that for us? Or do you
Well,
think
I
it's
think it was definitely ingrained in us by white people, you know? I think they came into our space and they kind of just made us believe that. Um, yeah, I genuinely don't think that we would wake up one day and just randomly decide, "Ugh, maybe this person's better than us. I think they came, they had more power, they had more better everything. And through that, through slavery, through everything that happened, that I'm not very informed about, so I always hesitate to talk about. Um, Somehow we were led and we were made to believe that white people are just better, you know?
so?
So,
That's a
yeah.
good. So now, okay. So I know you keep going back to slavery now. So it's like, okay. So slavery happened, right? So let's say this was the case. Slavery happened, and then white people then showed that they were superior to black people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then there was kind of no slavery anymore, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then, how is that then still what is going on in the sense of, well, you weren't ever enslaved, were you? Unless you think you are.
No, no, no. No,
So
I wasn't. Um, these
when
are ideologies, these are customs, these are norms that have been within our society for such a long time that it's gonna take, I feel like, a very long time for them to be broken down and to be corrected and to be put in place.
yeah,
So socialization has happened for a very long time where we were taught this way. Do you understand?
right.
And so it's just, I genuinely don't. It's kind of like how right now it's been 22, 20 something years since I feel
Yeah.
so embarrassed not to know the exact years since apartheid, stopped and ended. Yet we are still fighting the similar fights that our, grandparents fought. We are still trying to get the land back. We are still trying to get better education. We are still trying to get like up in Salakona, there's no tar, there's no water. We're still trying to, I guess, level up and get equity. And so it's the same within the beauty space. These ideologies have been ingrained in us, in our forefathers for such a long time that it's gonna take more than somebody saying, wear your crown, you know, for us to stop believing that having weave, having longer silky hair, having lighter skin, having, slimmer noses, lighter lips, and this is not what makes us beautiful, you know? And
Okay.
so, yeah.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. All right, that's good. Doing very well for your first live, eh?
I'm so, I literally called my best friend and I told her I was nervous, and I don't know why I agreed to this because I'm so awkward.
Okay. All right, so do you think that that's where like movements like Black Lives Matter kind of comes from? A lot of things that have happened in the past that kind of then just spirals and spirals and spirals, and then Black Lives Matter is kind of um, a formation of like we need to stop this type of thing.
I think, okay, so I feel like the whole Black Lives Matter is more of a political thing. You know, it's more of a economical thing than it is of like a than it is in terms of like the idea of beauty, right? So and really I don't know much about it, right? But of course I feel like it all came from we want equal rights. We want to be treated equally. We want to be, you know, given the same opportunities. We want basically anything that a white man has, I as a black person want to also be given a chance to achieve, you know? So yeah, that's where it all stems from. It's just black people not being treated correctly. It's just black people not being given the same opportunities. It's black people having to work harder to get what a white man could get. It's a lot more than that, you know? And I even feel like I don't understand much. You know, I genuinely, in as much as I want to be informed, it's such an emotional thing. Do you understand? That I always try to not get too involved because when I get passionate, I get too emotional and I really go crazy. So I don't know much about it. And like I said, I really don't like commenting on things that I don't know much about, because I make a fool of myself. So, yeah, yeah.
All right. So yeah. So with this whole equality thing, right?
Mhm.
So being for me, being obviously a black guy, being raised in South Africa in Cape Town, it's always a thing of like we want equity, we want equity, we want equity, right? And this is where like things got a bit confusing for me. So it's like so I'm a black guy, right? Let's say that I'm a
Mhm.
black guy and I'm fighting for equity for black people, right?
Mhm.
For whom am I fighting against? Or for who am I fighting against? And for whom am I fighting for? Am I fighting for black males? Am I fighting for black people? Am I fighting for black people that lived in or that live in a suburban home? Or am I fighting for a black person that lives in Kasi? What is it? Because what ends up happening is that I put myself in a category, right? And I say I'm this person, right?
Mhm.
And then I'm like, okay, well, I can be a black person, I can be a male, right? I can say I live in Kasi, or I can say I live in the suburb, right? All those four things that I'm choosing to identify as, right, can be a
Mhm.
problem for someone else or can be a fight against something else. So, for instance, if I say I'm a male, right, and I'm fighting for male rights, then I'm going to be completely almost opposite against a feminist. Just purely
Mhm.
for saying that I'm male, and then a feminist will say, no, we're fighting for our rights, right?
Mhm.
And then
Mhm.
you find that if I say, okay, well, you know what, I identify as being black, then what happens? Then you have what happens with what you're talking about now, that then you're black and then a colored person doesn't really identify you as being colored. And then a white person doesn't identify you as being white. And then black people don't identify you as being black. And then it's like, well, then do you really have an identity? Because no one else wants to kind of play with you, you know?
Mm. Yeah, yeah,
Right? And then what happens is then you say again, then you fragment yourself again. You say, okay, well, you know what? I'm gonna fight for water and electricity up because, right? And
yeah.
then I go and I move to say the suburb, right? And then I burst my pipe there, right? Or
Mhm.
burst a water pipe there. Do I then fight for water and electricity in the suburbs, or still water and electricity at gas?
Um, oh, that was a mouthful. Let's see. So,
So, so
I
someone just
uh-huh.
said so. Someone just said, "Now I'm overseas right now, and having a black name kind of lowers your chance of getting a job. Okay, it doesn't matter how qualified you are, right? So again, so going back to that, I'll answer that now. But going back to that, it's like what's happening. What the reason why when I was just so confused about stuff is that you get into a team, right? And then you say, okay, cool, I'm fighting for this team, and you fight against another team, right? So let's say you're a student, right? And you're fighting for what's that thing that we had again? Free education. Yeah. So if you're a student, you're fighting for free education, right? And then you look around you, there's a lot of students, and you go and you're fighting for free education, right? And as you're fighting for free education, there's people that are paying for education that don't need to fight for free education, so they don't fight, right? Then you fight, and then something happens. So again, what was happening in all these schools, you go and you occupy all these places, right? And then while you're occupying these places, then say one guy or one girl kind of abuses another one, right? Then you find that within that within the student fraction, then it becomes, oh, a guy then kind of touched the girl or girl touched the guy, and now it's within that fractions. Then it's a girl, then it becomes male and female, then it becomes feminists and males together within the same group, right? And then from there we start then fighting, and then it's, oh, okay, cool. And then someone in those groups, right, then calls someone else a foreigner, right? And then it's, oh, then it's xenophobia. Then the groups start fractioning even more. Then it's xenophobia against people that are in the country or think they're from the country, right? And then again, even with that, it's like, how much in the country can you say that you're from the country? You can live in South Africa, you can live in England for your whole life, right? And then move to another country and then identify as that country or the country that you're in. So then it's like the xenophobia even makes sense, you know? But anyway, so then you find that then the group fractions again. And then this group fractions again as well. Then you find it's, well, wait, we're all students, but then it's now males against females, right? And then it's xenophobia or foreign. Yeah. Right? And then it's like, well, actually, this can go even deeper. And then when you look at it, it's like, man, this can go further and further. The races can then start fractioning even more. Then you have, again, colored people versus black and white people. And then it fractions again. And then you can go even more into gender. You find LGBTQ then forms a community, right? And then they fraction, right? And then it's like, well, then they fraction again, and they fraction, and they say lesbians and gays and people that don't identify and things like that. They start the fraction, and then they're also different genders, different, you know, it's like sort of almost like different teams are just breaking up and breaking up and breaking up, right? And then you fraction someone so much that you find that then that you're only left with one single person, you're only left with one identity. So something that started from, oh no, it was a great idea, let's go fight for free fees, you end up just, you know what, let's just go back to school.
Yeah, I think from what you were saying, the problem here is that when we don't agree, or when we always find reasons as to oppose people. Do you understand? And we often forget, and this is just in terms of life, we often, in the journey of trying to accomplish something, we often forget why we're doing this, you know? What's the reason we're doing this? And that's why it's so easy to you know, to get distracted and to then start saying, I'm not gonna be fighting here for fees when there's this guy who's out here molesting my friends, or when, you know, no, let's go out here and fight for, you know, feminist rights or whatever. And I think, so here's the problem, right? The problem is we don't find a concrete, sensible solution, right, for that, for gender-based violence, or for sexual harassment rather, right? We don't find a sensible solution, and then after that move on to continuing the struggle. And maybe that's why, as people in general, we don't always accomplish things when we're working in groups, you know, because we are so easily distracted and we're so sometimes consumed about our own perspectives and our own identity, and we want to uphold that to such a high esteem that we forget that wait, there must be a team player here. This is a group thing, you know. If we have a problem, we solve it as a group and we continue working together. And it's also it's also so unfortunate that I feel like if we also embraced the diversity that's found in humanity, because that's really what you're mentioning, you know. You have black people, you have, you know, gay people, you have this, you have foreigners, and it's all such, it's all, you know, humans, humanity.
Yeah.
And if we learned then to accept that we're different as people, you know, and we learned to find solutions for every problem, sensible solutions. You know, this is crazy because I study environmental management, and we do a lot of looting, right, within the sector. We were always going to, I don't know, meetings and whatever, and we're just like, the ocean, the ocean, right? But personally, my personal point of view is just like,
There's
that
more.
isn't effective. That that hasn't done enough. I mean, surely there has to be a better solution, you know? Surely there has to be more that is done. Um, you know, it's just it's really exhausting because I feel like we're just gonna keep going around in circles, you know?
Yeah.
Go around looting, and that doesn't work. We loot again for another thing. We get tiny progress and we continue looting, and I'm just like, it's exhausting, you know?
Yeah.
It's exhausting. But I don't even think I'm answering your question properly, or really I'm commenting on it properly, because I think what you were really asking or expecting me to comment on was the whole the friction thing, you know? Like, when do you stop then? What do you then continue fighting for, right?
Yeah.
Or when do you stop just cutting things into fractions? Listen,
So
if
this
the
is a yeah.
if the initial
Yeah.
sorry,
Go for it. Go.
if the initial plan, you know, when you decided that, hey, I want to stand for something, and when you woke up and you decided to stand for or to fight for fees in South Africa, and you decided, you know what, fees must fall, and that was it, continue. You know, regardless of whether you don't share the same views as the next person, the same nationality, the same race, the same gender, or whatever, that was what we were joined by. Let us continue fighting for that, and then we'll see the other next time once we win this battle, you know?
Yeah. No, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a really good long point. It's good. It's good. Your nerves are getting lower and lower. Um, so yeah, I understand exactly what you mean, man. Like, so this is also the thing. Like I said, this is a very confusing and very like it seems easy. It seems like it's okay, cool. Like I'm saying now, it's like, oh, let's go fight for free free fees. And it's like, okay, cool, let's go do it. And it's like, well, everyone wants to have free fees. And it's like, okay, let's go. You go there, and then it's like, how did it go so wrong? You know, after 2 months, and then you realize the fractions that happen, right? So again, what I'm saying is that like you get to certain points where you fraction something so much, a person, right? Because again, in those groups, you can have people that are older, people that are younger, people that are living in a higher social standard and a low social standard. You can have people that are disabled and not disabled. It keeps just breaking and breaking and breaking up until the only real identity is one person. The only real group is one person. Because even then, even if we sit down and have like a group discussion, right? I can agree with everything that you say and not the last word, and therefore that makes me not agree with everything that you're saying. So if you're going to go up there and say everything, I'm not going to agree with it. I'll only agree partly. And you find that's what happens is that you find that, say like hey, like national parties, for example, you read the manifesto and you're like, oh, I agree with three, but not these two. Then it's like, then why vote for them? You know, it's like, ah, let's say evil, and it's like, it's still evil, you know. And then it's like this one got 2 out of 3, and then how do you then compare them? Because even if this one was 3 points out of 2, and then this one was 4 points out of 3 points out of 5, and this one was 4 points out of 5. It's like, which points are more important? Just because this was more than the other one doesn't mean the one is more important. Then how do you then gauge that? And whatever you think is important is going to be something that's going to be completely different to me as well. Just because say he identifies both black doesn't mean that whatever you want from a particular party is going to be the same thing I want from a particular party. You know? So again, that's what I'm saying. This whole situation gets weird when you put yourself in a group, you think you're secure. But every single time you put yourself in a group and you think that, oh, okay, no, we're doing this positively, you also have to understand that because now you identified yourself as a group, if there's an issue or there's a problem, you also then gain that problem, right?
Yeah.
So it's the same with if I say that I am like fully behind males against feminists, right? So let's say, right, and then what happens is, okay, we go out there and we're fighting feminists and we're fighting feminists and we're fighting feminists, right? Then I'm like, okay, cool, I want the recognition. You know, I want to be.
You win that fight, but yeah.
But regardless, whether we want it or not, I'm just saying, like, if I say that we want, even if, okay, let's say black then. If I identify as a black person against a white person, right? Okay, I would say, no, we're fighting against black people. We want the land back. We want the land back. Perfect. I feel as though that it's what I deserve, right? And part of my group, I'm supporting them, right? I support every single one in this group, and we're going with this together, right? And then one guy in our group goes and assaults another guy in the other group, right? Now, do you then expect that other group to say that, oh no, it was only this guy that assaulted that guy? Because then, I mean, if when you do something positive, you're together. So when you do something negative, it's supposed to then say, oh no, well, these people that are looking for the land are very violent. Because then we can get, so as much as we get group benefit, we get group problems as well. Because you identified yourself as a group, right? But this is what happens.
Oh man, I don't know. It's a bit.
Yeah, that's the thing. So this is the thing, is that people then don't want to do this. So people will say, oh, you know what? When it's good, we're all good. But when it's bad.
No. Understand this, right? We need to understand firstly, okay, so as a group, for example, we are fighting for the land, like bring back our land. How are we going about it? Say we are going to court, the highest court or whatever, to, protest. Traditionally, the way we do it, and we're doing it peacefully. We're just there, like, bring back our land. Our motive is to get the land back. How are we going about it? Peacefully, right? We're not hurting anybody. That's what the group stands for. The group, black people who want the land back, are just black people who want their land back, and they're going about it peacefully. Now, we need to understand firstly, what is the motive of that individual who, yes, is identified as part of our group. We need to understand firstly, what is the motive for that individual to go and beat the person from the opposite party,
Yeah.
And then after, but we can't then say one movement that's been going so well, so peacefully, is going to be run by one individual who then decided to act like a madman.
But look, this is what I'm trying to get at. So I can understand that. So this is the thing. So this is the mentality that humans have, right? If I am doing something right, okay, then I want to be fully promoted for that. I want to get recognition for that, right? But when I do something wrong, right, I don't want you to throw everything wrong at me. I say, oh no, because that time it was like this and this happened because, and then that's what happens. So it's the same with the group thing. If then we go and we all say, look, we're all fighting, right? We're all fighting and we want the land back,
Okay.
right? And then 2 million rand,
Can
2
we
million.
firstly, before we move on, can we acknowledge that in as much as every human does that, when they're doing right, they want to be praised. When they're doing wrong, they want to justify that wrong, right? Yes, it is human nature. We all do it. Is it right?
Probably not. I don't think it is.
It's not right. It's not right. You should you should take accountability for your wrongs and
For
we move on.
everything.
So
Yeah.
just because humans do it, just because everybody does it, it doesn't mean that it should be done. It doesn't mean now as a group we must accept it because individuals do it. No,
But
no.
look, but this is what I'm saying. So again, if something happens, you support a group, right? And this group says, I want the land, or this group says, I want equal rights. What I don't even know what equal rights means, because you can get equal rights to start, or you can get equal rights at the end. And equal rights at the end really is almost impossible because people are different at the beginning. So how are you going to make them equal at the end? Which is the same with right? So it's the same with what we're talking about equity now and equality. There's equality of outcome and there's equality of opportunity. You can't really get equality of outcome because everyone at the beginning is very different. So how are you going to make sure that they're the same at the end? So anyway, again, if you support a group, right, and as you're supporting this group, you say I'm the leader of the group, and I say I want equality of opportunity. I want all the opportunity to be great for everyone. And everyone says, yes, this is all we want, right? Everyone wants this in our group, right? Okay, do we all agree? Yes, we agree. We go and we march, right? Okay, someone in our group goes and steals 2 million rand, right? Okay, so someone in our group goes and steals money, right? And then the police come and they say, hey, look, we're going to arrest this group because you guys stole 2 million rand. Because you identified yourself as a group. Right? So now, why all of a sudden now? Then what? Because then what happens is then the group says, "Oh no, it wasn't us. It wasn't all us. It was just those people in Limpopo. It was just that group there that's in East London." Right? And then that's where the fractions come in. So this is where
This is what I'm trying. This what I'm trying to say is, okay. For example, Kimosot, right?
Yeah.
That's what I identify myself as. Also, right? And I'm seen as a Suti person, and we have a reputation. Suti people are known to be humble, and I'm just like, yeah, that's us. You know, I mean, you know, we're humble, whatever. Yeah. So, what you're saying is that if a Suti person goes right ahead and decides to burn all the schools in South Africa, yeah, because they feel like we should not be studying Western knowledge or whatever, right? Now the blame has come to all Suti people.
Yeah, that's what happens. But that's what happens. So that's exactly what I'm trying to say. Look, it's the same with our Khosa, right? They say Khosa men are liars, right?
Well, that's true though.
But you see what I mean?
Now that's different. That's actually true. You guys earn that reputation.
But you see what I'm saying? So again, it goes back to exactly what I'm trying to say.
I'm kidding.
So I haven't lied to you at all. If I identify as Khosa, doesn't mean we all do it. You see what I mean? So it's exactly the same thing.
No,
so
that's different. The thing is like,
yeah, this is the thing. It's different because you're not getting the blame. So therefore,
no. Okay. But I get what you're saying. I totally understand it. You know, excluding when it comes to the Khosas and liars, because that's true. Like everything else, not true. Not true. Right?
This is what I'm saying to you. Is that then, again, let's say you believe that all Xhosa people are true. I mean, are liars, right? Let's say that, right? You haven't met all of them first.
And bullies too. Xhosa people are liars and bullies.
Okay. You haven't met all of them, right? And you don't know most of them.
I do. I know y'all. Okay.
You know You don't know everyone else. There's also people that are not even in South Africa, right? What I'm trying to get at again is the fact that when something is not, you're not being a victim of it, then you're fine. And the game works for you. Well, the game works for me, right? If I go and I say, look, I'm Xhosa and Xhosa people are the best people in the world. No one's attacking me, so I'm good. So the game's working for me, right? As soon as someone says, hey, bro, look, you guys are liars, and it's like, oh, wait, but if I accept that, then the game doesn't work anymore. So now I have to defend myself. And that's where the fractions come. So for the fact that you identify yourself to begin with means that then you're open for attack as part of what you identify as.
You know what? What she's saying, I'm just like, I get it though, you know? I get it. So what you're saying is, in as much as we are, I think what I was arguing was it shouldn't be the case. We shouldn't take jabs as a group, you know? But I mean, listen, if you are gonna enjoy when we are high and everybody's praising us, then you might as well, you know, suffer when the tribe is suffering, right?
Exactly, right?
Um,
Exactly. So now that goes back to our first point of these movements that are happening
mhm,
and all these
mhm,
fractions that are happening, right?
mhm,
They are a result of stuff like this. So this thing, you see it everywhere. You see it in any type of thing. Whenever you think that you're right, whenever you think that you're right, there's someone out there that thinks that you're wrong. Even though you're like, no, but I want to save the world. There's people out there that are saying, no, but I want to kill the world. So therefore, for the fact that you identify so for the fact that you identify as something that you think is noble, there's someone else that's going to be completely the opposite. Do you
mhm.
understand? Right? So again, so then that's what I'm saying now. So it's like we have all this identity, which is what we want to have because we need to have direction, right? But being part of it at the same time becomes a problem elsewhere, right? And then it goes into deeper things of privileges and not being privileged, right? Because then it's like, well, if we can fraction ourselves into all these different identities, right? That means that all these different identities also have a privilege and another one doesn't have privilege, depending on how you see it, right? So for instance, in certain countries, if as a woman, for instance, in certain countries you find that it's a disadvantage to be a woman because you can't go where men can go, and men can go everywhere,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. And then you find that in certain other countries or in certain other places, it's an advantage to be a woman because then you don't get. So if you're in a legal battle with a man for marriage, for example, a woman gets a more of a share, right?
You do most of the work. I'm kidding.
But
I'm
like
kidding. I'm kidding.
it's debatable. No, it's alright, but it's debatable. So what I'm saying is as soon as you feel as though, oh, you know what, I'm the victim and everything works for me, then the game works for you. Then you can continue having the conversation because you're the one that's at fault, right? Which is why we have people that are like that, that always feel as though, no, but we want this and we deserve this and we deserve that. And then it's like it just takes one person to ask, well, don't you think someone else deserves it too? And then it's like, whoa, wait, oh, if I say that, then the game doesn't work for me. Because then if I say that, oh, they also deserve cash, then it's like, that means that I don't like what? I'm not getting it?
No, but we don't randomly go around saying we deserve things.
No, I'm not saying that we do. I'm not saying that we do. But what I'm saying is that our thought processes are limited to be just about me and
Us.
how I feel about something. And if I'm a victim, then everything works, right? And then we say, for again, it's like I was having a conversation with a white guy, right? And I was saying to him, like, in certain situations, right, as a person, not as a black person, as a person, as a human, I feel that I have a gain or a privilege over him, right? So, for instance, he was an anxious guy, and he wasn't as confident, he couldn't talk to women, right? And then we go to a party, and then I have no problem at all, right? So is then that white privilege in that situation? Probably not, right? But then I have privilege for being confident, right? Then let's say
Which
then
I think, okay, continue. We'll argue this.
Yeah. So, and then you find that in a different situation, right? Say he was an older guy, right? In a different situation, if we go into a say a conversation with parents, right? Parents are more likely to listen to him because he's an older guy than I am, right? So therefore, older, wiser, and all of that, right? So he has that advantage over me, regardless of whether I can do the job or not, right? So then it's like, well, then is that white privilege? Is that old people privilege? Is that young person non-privileged? Is that black person non-privileged? And it's like, well, if I see it the way I see it, I will always try to make myself a victim, and then I'll say, you know what? It's probably because I'll look for something. Oh, it's probably because he's a white guy, or probably because he's got more money than me. I'll see it that way. He will see it differently as, oh, well, you know what? I'm in a situation where I'm an older person. So you find that we can be walking around together, going to the same places. My privilege changes. His privilege changes. Mine changes. His changes. And we can be male and female. We can be female and female. We can be transgender and gay. We can be lesbian. Doesn't matter. Wherever we go, you'll find that there's a privilege at some point of someone else, and there's a this or non-privilege for someone somewhere else.
True, true. That's always how life is going to be, right? You always find somebody who has more experience, therefore gets the job because of what they've been exposed to, or this and that, you know? I get what you're saying. And I feel like though, right?
Even with that, you find that an older person might be easier to get a job, right? Because they're more experienced, right? But then a younger person might be easier to get other jobs because there's more for them to learn, more energetic.
Mm-hmm.
So then again, it's like you might be a victim somewhere else, but then you might be a victimizer elsewhere. Because then that old person will look at you and be like, oh, why did he get the job? And you'll be like, well, he's got more years in it.
See, the thing about that is, like I said, that's just how life is, right? I can never complain that somebody who's older and more experienced got a job, you know, that I was underqualified to get, you know. I can never complain that a model who's taller and slimmer than me got the gig that I wanted, you know. It's like what? You know, I can never that's just like there's no way you can't be a victim in a place. But I think what we as people like fighting for or like really thriving for is a system that makes us victims. Mostly when it comes to um, economical and social benefits, right? For example, let's take the whole Black Lives Matter thing in America, right?
Mm-hmm.
Black people are not fighting just so that police stop shooting them because they are, you know, presumably more dangerous than white people, whatever. They're fighting because the healthcare that they get just because they're black is terrible, you know? They are fighting because the educational system, just because they're black, they're terrible. I remember watching, what's that Indian guy?
Russell Peters.
Pardon?
Russell Peters.
No, the name will come up. And he was talking just about that system against black people, you know? He's talking about housing. He's talking a lot of things, and you're just like, damn, it's that bad, you know? So I think the problem I feel like everybody knows, right? I'll always be a victim in one way or another, right? I'll always be disadvantaged in one way or another, you know? There'll always be somebody who's better, more qualified, or whatever. And it's okay because it was a fair game, you know? He didn't get it because his mother worked there. No. He got it because he's older, he's got better experience, right? That's fair. You understand? Yes, I'm at a disadvantage right now, but fairly so, you know? Now it just becomes problematic when it's not fair. Do you understand? When I'm a disadvantage because there is a system that just doesn't want me to be healthy and beautiful. I'm kidding. That doesn't want me to be educated, that doesn't want me to live a long life. So how will I even thrive for that? Do you understand? So I get what you're saying, and honestly I feel like I've learned quite a bit. I'll probably stop whining a lot.
I've learned a lot
Because,
too, man.
pardon?
I'm saying I learned a lot from you too. That's exactly why I did do lives like this, because yeah, it's much more beneficial to me for me to learn from someone that has a different viewpoint. So thank you for
True.
that.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, I think I've learned quite a bit. I've learned that firstly, I'm not always the victim, right? And there are, chances, or there are places where I'm actually at an advantage and I get things because of who I am and what I've accomplished. So that was a nice thing. It was a great thing to acknowledge. Like I said, I'll probably whine less, and I whine quite a bit. So
Yes, it's like
um
it's like what you're saying now. Like as a woman, you'll get more guys in your DMs, right? As compared to a guy that'll have less women in his DMs. That's another kind of advantage.
yeah, it's like, because I'm a woman, more people are chasing.
So yeah, man. Thank you so much for that. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I was so nervous, I
I'm
was just like, I don't know.
probably sweating in that chair.
Yeah, yeah. But I'm glad I did it. It was fun. It was fun. I learned quite a bit. Thank you.
Funeka senze ngesixhosa yona. Kanti isixhosa nesiZulu.
Yo, I I I don't know. I wanted to speak Xhosa, but my accent is terrible.
That's perfect. That could be another one. That could be iwe culture but like uforce uba mawuthethe ngesixhosa okanye uyahleka xa uthetha ngesixhosa. So how's that any different to omnye umntu ongumlungu xa ethetha ngesixhosa? Like things like that. That's also another cultural stigma. Yabo uba mhlawumbi
Yeah.
xa umntana akhe efundiswe nge-English ahamba ayotsho mhlawumbi ikasi athethe English phaa ahlekwe uba akwazi uthetha English. Yabo
I've
whereas
experienced that way too much.
whereas wena mhlawumbi xa ungumXhosa awufuni uhlekwa xa uhleli nabelungu ukwazi ukhumsha. That's another one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you so
Yeah,
much,
and
man.
it's one we should have. Please, whenever you want to have that conversation, I'm the person you should have it with, okay? Because I feel like I grew up in Matadele, I grew up in KZN, I'm living in Venda right now. I lived in the city. So if I know how, fitting into a different group and how hard that can be based on how you look, how you speak, all of that is. So yeah, don't hesitate.
All right, cool. Cheers. Thanks so much.
All
Chap
right
chap.
then, bye.